From secret heavy tank projects to amphibious armor that could swim ashore, these were the machines that powered Imperial Japan's war effort during World War II. While German Tigers and American Shermans dominate most conversations, Japan fought a very different war. One shaped by dense jungles, narrow island roads, tropical heat, and rapid infantry movement, not wide-open tank battles. This is the complete catalog of every Japanese military vehicle used in World War II. We begin with light tanks. One of Japan's earliest indigenous armored designs was the Type 92 Jusokosha. Officially classified as a heavy armored car, it functioned much more like a true tank. It saw combat during the Shanghai incident of 1933. Its suspension was unreliable at high speeds, but it laid the foundation for future Japanese armored development. Next came the Type 94 TK. Originally designed as a tracked armored ammunition carrier, it was extremely small enough to be towed by a truck. In China, it supported infantry operations. By the Pacific War, its armor was so thin that standard rifle fire could penetrate it at close range. To replace it, Japan introduced the Type 97 TK. The engine was moved to the rear, balance was improved, and a 37mm gun was installed. Fast, low-profile, and highly mobile, the TK proved effective during the invasion of Malaya, especially against unprepared Allied units. The most famous Japanese light tank was the Type 95 Hago. More than 2,000 were built. It was fast, reliable, and well-suited for jungle warfare, where heavier Allied tanks struggled. But its thin armor left it vulnerable to bazookas, heavy machine guns, and infantry anti-tank weapons. Japan attempted to improve the design with the Type 98 K-Ni and later the Type 2 K-To. These tanks were faster and featured welded armor. Despite being better designs, production delays and limited numbers prevented them from replacing the Hago. Medium tanks formed the backbone of Japanese armored forces. The Type 89 I-Go was the grandfather of Japanese armor. Designed in the late 1920s, it was the world's first mass-produced diesel-powered tank. By 1941, it was completely obsolete. The most important medium tank Japan fielded was the Type 97 Chi-Ha. Armed with a low-velocity 57mm gun, it was highly effective against infantry and fortifications in China. But against enemy tanks, it performed poorly. That weakness was exposed during clashes with Soviet armor at Nomonhan. In response, Japan developed the Type 97 Shin-Hoto Chi-Ha. A new turret mounted a high-velocity 47mm gun, giving Japan its first tank capable of challenging early Allied armor. The next step was the Type 1 Chi-Hei. It featured welded armor, radios in every tank, and a 5-man crew. On paper, it was superior to the M3 Stuart. In reality, it arrived too late to affect the war. Japan's final attempt to counter the M4 Sherman was the Type 3 Chi-Nu. It mounted a powerful 75mm gun and was held back for the defense of the Japanese home islands. That decisive battle never came. Japan truly stood apart in amphibious armor. The Type 2 Ka-Mi was based on the Hago. Large, hollow pontoons allowed it to float. Once ashore, the crew detached the pontoons from inside the tank, converting it instantly into a ground combat vehicle. The larger Type 3 Kachi was based on a medium tank chassis. It was fully submersible and featured a snorkel for engine air intake. Some were even designed to be launched from submarines to surprise island defenses. Then there was the Type 4 Kot-2, one of the strangest vehicles of the war. It was an amphibious tractor armed with 2 torpedoes. The plan was to transport them by air, swim out to sea, and attack anchored American warships. The plan was never carried out. As Allied armor grew stronger, Japan rushed to create tank destroyers and self-propelled guns. The Type 1 Honi mounted a 75mm gun in an open casement. It was powerful, but left the crew exposed. The Honi 2 replaced the gun with a 105mm howitzer for indirect fire support. The Honi 3 finally enclosed the crew and mounted a high-velocity gun designed specifically for tank combat. The Ho-Ro carried a massive 150mm howitzer, firing shells powerful enough to disable tanks through concussive force alone. The Type 5 Na-To was a late-war desperation weapon, cheap to produce and lightly armored. Japan also pursued heavy tanks and ambitious prototypes. The Type 4 Chi-To weighed 30 tons and mounted a long 75mm gun. Only 2 were completed. At the end of the war, they were dumped into Lake Hamana to prevent capture. The Type 5 Chi-Ri pushed the design further, featuring a semi-automatic loader and a secondary 37mm cannon. Only a single incomplete prototype was captured by American forces. And finally, the legend, the OI Super Heavy Tank. Proposed to weigh up to 150 tons with multiple turrets and massive armor, it was designed as a land battleship to counter the Soviet Union. All evidence was destroyed before Japan's surrender. Behind every tank stood logistics and support vehicles. The Isuzu Type 94 six-wheeled truck carried supplies across China. The Toyota Type 1 four-wheel drive truck served in every theater. The Type 98 Roku hauled heavy artillery through mud where wheeled vehicles failed. The Type 95 Kurogane was the world's first mass-produced four-wheel drive scout car, predating the Jeep. The Rikuo Type 97 motorcycle was vital for couriers and reconnaissance. And the SS Key engineering vehicle served as a bridge layer, mine clearer, and flamethrower platform. Without these vehicles, Japanese armor never would have reached the battlefield. From lightweight jungle tanks to unfinished super-heavy dreams, Japan's vehicles reflect a nation fighting a war shaped by terrain, logistics, and limited industrial power. Which of these vehicles would you want to see preserved in a museum? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more complete military vehicle catalogs.